All season, people have said, Lando can't drive. It's just the car.
I am people.
But oh boy, did I have to take a long look in the mirror after Mexico because he won the race by over 30 seconds. Norris got pole position by almost 3 attempts and he even topped FP3 with one less practice session than Pastry Boy in the same car. So what actually happened to Piastri in Mexico? Well, he qualified 8th behind Carlos Sainz, who got a grid penalty for this move on Taliban Tonelli last race. However, like clockwork, whenever one of the McLaren drivers does shit, the conspiracy theories piled in. McLaren sabotaged Oscar's car. This isn't a win, it's stealing points from Piastri. History will remember how McLaren sabotaged Oscar Piastri to let their poster boy have a free run at the World Drivers' Championship. Beyond pathetic, Oscar should plan his move soon, he deserves better. But don't forget 2 months ago when Lando DNF'd and everyone said it was obvious that McLaren now favours Piastri and intentionally sabotaged Norris.
It's now obvious McLaren favours Piastri over Norris. This was a sabotage today. Lando deserves better.
Clockwork. So let me explain. After giving the position back in Monza when Lando had a slow stop, Piastri has not finished on the podium for the last 4 races. In Baku, he goes for a legendary move in P19 and hugs the barrier. In Singapore, he qualifies in front of Norris, but then Lando commits domestic terrorism and sends it down his inside at the start. In Texas, Piastri in 5th didn't even have the pace to keep up with Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari, which as we know, is a pedalo. All while, Lando Norris was fighting Leclerc for 2nd.
And the McLarens make contact!
And now in Mexico, Piastri followed his form from previous years and could barely get near the front. Statistics. So the verdict for today's lesson? Skill issue. We now have 4 races left. Brazil, Vegas, Qatar and Abu Dhabi. All of which, with maybe the exception of Qatar, have been historically not great tracks for Pastry Boy.
Do you see the problem?
So, congratulations Lando Norris on winning the 2025 Drivers' Championship title, which also means that by Abu Dhabi, he'll probably have more titles than Prince Andrew.
I'm gonna lose my job!
Because His Royal Highness of questionable decisions has been stripped of his Duke of York title and his Prince title and got kicked out of the Royal Lodge, surrounding his good friend and today's video sponsor, Jeffrey Epstein. Use code STAYOUT at checkout when you purchase a private jet for 20% off. That's a terrible joke. Moving on before I get demonetized. Also support me on Patreon. Now let's be real, that Duke of York title is about as useful as an F2 title nowadays anyway, so not the biggest loss. And while we're on the topic of F2, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Yuki Tsunoda. He's not dead, but remember this guy? Well, if you don't, watch the rest of my videos, you fucking inconsiderate pig. It's Arvid Lindblad, Red Bull driver currently competing in F2. I mentioned him in my Saudi Arabia video. He's since been granted a super license exemption, and this weekend he drove Max Verstappen's car in FP1. Then set a faster time than Tsunoda. And I know the Yuki fans, if they even exist, are going to be in the comments like, Omoira, mo shindeiru, or some shit. But also, it's only FP1, it doesn't matter, it's not representative session. Well, either way, Tsunoda is in the hot seat, as is the FIA director, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, or as he's now known in the F1 community, 5 million pesos dead or alive. Because what the fuck was the FIA doing in this race? Let's just rip the condom off and go straight into this one raw. The front 2 rows, Norris and Leclerc, behind them, Hamilton and Russell. Lights out, and it's showtime for war crimes. Verstappen gets past Russell, they go 4 wide into turn 1, but as we know, 4 into 1 doesn't go, and Verstappen takes a new racing line to mow the grass. Meanwhile, Leclerc also drives off the track after Hamilton left him racing room, comes back onto the track in the lead, and then only gives it back to Norris and stays in 2nd place. Can you smell the Hamilton fanbase meltdown? Because Hamilton got ahead of Leclerc and Verstappen, but they both went off the track to overtake him, but Stevie Wonder made an appearance in the stewards room this weekend.
Are you fucking blind? You can't see me!
Let's slow this down. Welcome to the Stay Out Pad, my version of Karun Chandlok's Skypad, where instead of analysing racing lines, we snort them. So according to telemetry data in an article by Federico Albano, the Englishman had about a 4-metre advantage. They reconstructed the positions with onboard cameras, heli shots, pure nerdy shit. So from this, I can confidently conclude that I don't give a shit. Neither Hamilton or Leclerc are championship contenders, so I actually would rather them just give P2 to Verstappen. But then it gets funnier, because Leclerc wasn't told to give the position back, and so on lap 6, Hamilton's fighting Verstappen for P3, who then dive bombs down the inside at turn 1, and then at turn 4, Hamilton looks up, takes the world's narrowest Fiat 500 escape road, cuts it completely and comes back on the road 2 seconds ahead. You'd think Ferrari would get on the radio and tell him to back off a bit to not make it suspicious, but they didn't. Ollie Bearman in a Haas, after starting 9th and jumping to 6th at the first corner, during the middle of all of this, sends it down the inside of Verstappen, pegging him for a podium position. British bias intensifies. What the fuck is going on? And just in case Hamilton's pain wasn't enough, he's slapped with a 10-second penalty for cutting the escape road. And nobody else got a penalty for any of their corner cutting. He serves the penalty in the pits and he comes out in P8. But an even bigger sucker in this whole situation, if that's even possible, is Woody himself, George Russell. Remember when I said he started in P4? Well, now he's down in P6 behind Taliban Antonelli, who's still behind Bearman. And by lap 38, Piastri's caught up behind Russell and is right up his arse. So Russell's on the radio to Mercedes, saying, "I have a lot more pace than Kimi. Let me through. Nah, mate, get your tyres under control." At this point, George Russell is fucking pissed. So he says on the radio, Toto Wolff then bends over, and by the time he is let through, his tyres are cooked in dirty air and he can't get anywhere. This is the same car that 2 races ago was dominating in Singapore and not even Verstappen could touch him. Now we can't catch a Haas. Consistency. On lap 48, Antonelli and Piastri both pit. McLaren's wheel guns actually decide to work for once. It's a rapid stop for Piastri, and Mercedes completely fucked it. It's a slow stop. 4.6 seconds. Still not as bad as Carlos Sainz's first pit stop though, and the mechanics still fist bump each other. Good job lads, we're shit. But we'll get back to Sainz later, because Kimi's been undercut, and on lap 60, Piastri charges past Woody at turn 1, and the charge to Bearman to minimise the damage done in the World Drivers' Championship battle is on. At the same time, Verstappen is gaining on Charles Leclerc and getting ready to peg him. The gap is down to 5 seconds, and he's on the fresher tyres, because Ferrari pulled a Ferrari and left Leclerc out on the mediums to dry. 10 laps later, we've got 2 laps to go. Piastri is less than 6 tenths off Bearman, and Verstappen is almost within DRS of Leclerc. Hold your balls. We're about to get 2 insane battles.
Virtual safety car!
Oh, fuck off. The FIA really are a bunch of spineless, joy-killing, inconsistent, brain-dead, race-ruining, illiterate pricks. Carlos Sainz pulls off with an issue, does the FIA's job for them, and they still deploy a virtual safety car to neutralise the race. By the time the race restarts, there's not enough road left, and we get an anticlimactic ending. This race was so close to being perfect, and if it couldn't get worse for the FIA this weekend, overtake of the weekend goes to Liam Lawson for his overtake on these 2 marshals. Another FIA shithouse, and thank God we didn't get a repeat of the 1977 South African Grand Prix. If you know, you know. Honourable mention, Fernando Alonso retired from the Grand Prix because of brake issues. He actually wasn't even told by Aston Martin to pull in the pits. He just pulled into the pits and said, "Get me out of this shithole!" He also did pull off this double overtake before he retired, so at least the king went out in style. So I'm going to throw the Mexico Grand Prix into the stay out meter, and I'm going to give it a send the FIA and Pirelli into hell out of 10. So Lando leads over Pastry Boy in the championship by a single point and got booed by Mexican fans. McLaren fans need to be put in an asylum. Bearman is replacing Hamilton at Ferrari because he can't score a podium. The FIA still can't make a good decision. Verstappen is probably now out of the title fight, and Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein are in this together.